Każdy berserk referencje w Elden Ringu, moi drodzy. To jest nawet ciekawe. Jestem 22 minuty i gość analizuje, co w Eldenie jest z berserka, co Miyazaki zaczerpnął. I podobno jest dużo tego.
Being a natural evolution of Dark Souls and Miyazaki's most ambitious project, Elden Ring is filled with references to the manga. We have been able to collect more than 25 references.
Nie czytałem Berserka, ale ponoć jest świetny.
Watch the video until the end so that you can answer this trivia question. If the main characters of Berserk are present in Elden Ring, who will they be? Let's begin with the list and see if you can answer this question by the end of the video. In the Berserk manga, Grunbeld is one of the strongest apostles who serves under the reborn Qliphoth in his Band of the Falcon. In his demon-released form, Grunbeld transforms into a great four-legged fire dragon covered with stalactites made of corundum, with his face shielded by a layer of crystal. In Elden Ring, the god-devouring serpent is a massive coiled serpent found at the Volcano Manor in Mount Gelmir, and Reichard, Lord of Blasphemy, is its true form that is revealed after the first phase is defeated. If you observe carefully the reveal of Reichard's serpent form, you will notice that it is very similar to Grunbeld's dragon form. Both of them have a small human face protruding on the scales of the main monster's head. The source of the Berserk volume is volume 27, and the chapter is titled Fire Dragon. In the Berserk manga, the Sword of Actuation was first revealed when the Skull Knight aided Guts in his escape from the deepest level of Qliphoth. Employing the sword's power, he unleashed a swirling abyssal vortex, drawing in the swarm of trolls and ogres, before tearing open a portal for their escape. The Sword of Actuation was forged from the behemoths that the Skull Knight had consumed from vanquished apostles. Now, shifting our attention to Elden Ring, we encounter the Blasphemous Blade, which Reichard wields during the second phase of his boss fight. If you observe closely, the way in which he unveils the Blasphemous Blade bears a striking resemblance to the Skull Knight's own revelation. Their appearances also share a remarkable similarity. Moreover, the lore surrounding both weapons intertwines, as the Blasphemous Blade is described as bearing the remains of countless heroes devoured by Reichard.
Jestem ciekawy, ile tu będzie takich rzeczy, wiesz, że niektóre to jest taki reach, że jednak no trochę naciągana teoria, a ile będzie takich, że ja pierdzielę 1:1, bo z tym na razie tutaj widać, czuć to, że to może być faktycznie nawiązanie, nie?
This essence mirrors the concept of the Sword of Actuation, an amalgamation of consumed behemoths. The source of the Berserk volume is volume 26, and the chapter is titled Companions. In the Berserk manga, during Qliphoth's transformation into a member of the God Hand known as Femto, he experienced a haunting vision of the deaths and sacrifices made by his followers in pursuit of his ambitions. Amidst this ghastly scene, Qliphoth's attention was drawn to the crystallization of his final tear, the very last tear he shed as a human before becoming the entity known as Femto. Now, turning our focus to Elden Ring, a new set of items known as Crystal Tears has been introduced. These items possess various special effects when mixed in the flask of wondrous physic. If you carefully observe the design of these crystal tears, you will notice their striking resemblance to Qliphoth's own crystallized tear. The source of the Berserk volume is volume 13, and the chapter is titled God of the Abyss. In the Berserk manga, the mansion of the Spirit Tree served as
Ty, to wygląda 1:1 jak ten z God of War'a, dom Frey, nie? Żółw jest tutaj, se śpi.
Home of Flora and Shirka. It was located in an enchanted forest on the outskirts of Enoch Village, and was protected by spells and golems to ward off the spirits that plague the world. You will find more structures like this in Elfhelm, the home of the elves, which is a paradisaical kingdom situated on the island of Skellige in the Western Sea. If you carefully observe the architecture of the buildings and structures in Hewg Town, you will notice their similarity to the Spirit Tree mansion and those in Elfhelm. Pay attention to the windows, panels, doors, and balconies. It's almost like a perfect recreation of the structures from the Berserk manga. The source of the Berserk volume is volume 24, and the chapter is titled Mansion of the Spirit Tree. When you reach volume 3 of the Berserk manga, you will discover a location of significant importance to Guts' background story. This location takes the form of a tree known as the Tree of Corpses, adorned with the lifeless bodies of deceased individuals hanging from its branches. It plays a vital role as it serves as Guts' birthplace.
What?
Apparently, his mother gave birth to him while teetering on the brink of death and suspended
Jo pierdziele, ta manga jest mocna, ty.
within the tree.
Co?
This is not Miyazaki's first attempt to recreate the Tree of Corpses. In Dark Souls 3, you can encounter it at the center of the undead settlement, where the cathedral evangelist prays alongside other hollows. However, it is in Elden Ring that Miyazaki succeeds in faithfully replicating Berserk's Tree of Corpses. This faithful replica is situated in the village of the Albinaurics. As you make your way towards the village center, you will gradually notice dead people hanging from branches and poles.
No
If you
tak.
cross the bridge to a nearby location,
O tym, że
you will
mówiłem, no,
discover
że
the
jest.
Tree of
Tak.
Corpses, now matching the
O
theme and color
kurna,
of
no
the original
powiem
portrayal
tak,
in
no.
the Berserk manga.
No ma to
The
sens, nie?
Berserk volume source is
No
volular of the
tutaj
original
chyba naciągane to nie jest. Olipka. Co by nie mówić.
portrayal in the Berserk manga. The Berserk volume source is volume 3, and the
Ja
chapter name is
pierdzielę.
the Golden Age. In the manga, the World Tree is an enormous tree consisting of two immense arching trunks
Aha.
intertwined in a helix shape, with branches that scrape the sky. It appears in place of Ganishka's twice reincarnated form after Femto uses a stroke from the Sword of Actuation to split open the
Ty dobra, ale
apostle.
cały mytos świata podstawowy stworzył George Martin. To co, on też się berserkiem wspierał, czy po prostu potem Miyazaki dodał do tego swoje zacięcie, cholera?
At the foot of the tree sits Falconia, the capital of Midland. If you play Elden Ring, the first
Wszystko
awe-inspiring that
i
greets you in the
tyle? To
overworld
trochę
is the
tak.
giant luminous tree called
Ale
the
czy to
Erd
źle?
Tree.
Nie wiem,
It
fajnie
is a
jest.
giant golden tree that towers above the lands between. And similar to Falconia, at its foot is Leyndell, the royal capital. The undeniable resemblance between the Erd Tree and the World Tree lays the foundation for our subsequent entry, Falconia and Leyndell, which we shall explore soon. The Berserk volume source is volume 35, and the chapter name is Falconia. After the
Elden Ring
defeat
to
of
tak naprawdę
Ganishka's
Berserk
second
w przebraniu?
demon-released form
Ta,
at the
trochę ta.
hands of Femto, the World Tree emerges in Ganishka's place, and
No.
Griffith's capital city of Falconia miraculously appears near the base of the
O
Great Tree,
kurde, nawet to jest
occupying the
podobne.
land where Wyndham once stood. The architectural style of the buildings in Falconia
nie
is notably
gadaj.
classical, with at least two temple-like structures and a prominent Colosseum. In Elden Ring,
Co
there is a
jest?
city named Leyndell, the royal capital, located beneath the Erd Tree. If you carefully observe the architecture of Leyndell, you'll notice its striking
Ja
resemblance
zamawiam
to
dzisiaj ten,
Falconia,
pierwszy tom tej
complete with a
deluxe edycji, bo
Colosseum
widziałem to
and of
wydanie
course,
Berserka,
a
takie
giant
ładne w
tree
książkach.
nearby.
Muszę
The
to
Berserk
kuźwa
volume
przeczytać.
source is volume 35, and the chapter name is Falconia. In the manga, when Guts and his party were attempting to rescue Farnese and Casca, who had been kidnapped by a horde of trolls, they had to venture into a nightmarish realm known as Qliphoth. This location was a horrifying manifestation of darkness and malevolent thoughts, truly nightmare fuel. In Elden Ring, there exists a
wydaje mi się
place that
naciągane
perfectly
akurat.
fits that description, albeit with a different name. This place is called Caelid, a desolate wasteland located at the
To akurat nie
southeastern
jest
edge
takie
of the
1 do
lands
1.
between. It is plagued by the scarlet rot and inhabited by various grotesque creatures. Players find this location particularly memorable, not only because of the battle between General Radahn and Malenia that took place there, but also due to the unsettling atmosphere it creates, reminiscent of
Muzyka w
Qliphoth.
Caelid sprawia
The
cię po
Berserk
prostu
volume source is
mega
volume
niepokój.
25, and the chapter name is Qliphoth. In the Conviction arc of the Berserk manga, Farnese and her knights are tasked with a new mission, escorting the Holy See Inquisitor
O kuźwa,
Mosgus
ty!
to Albion.
To wygląda 1 do 1 jak ten ziomek z Bloodborne'a, nie? Co z lampą chodzi. O cholera!
Their objective is to restore order in the Holy City, which is overflowing with refugees. Pay close attention to the scenes featuring the Inquisitor's wagon. While it's worth noting
Co
that the wagons
ty
in Berserk were not
gadasz?
pulled by giants, there is a striking resemblance when you closely observe the carriages
Znaczy
being driven
kurde,
in
no
Elden
takie
Ring.
powozy to
Our
chyba...
verdict for this is similar. The Berserk volume source is volume 17, and the chapter name is To Holy Ground. In the manga, the Hill of Swords is a vast
O, w
snow-covered
Eldenie jest takie
mountain
miejsce.
that is adorned with numerous swords crafted by
Z takim
Rickard.
gigamieczem
Each sword
pamiątkowym.
symbolizes a fallen member of the Band of the Falcon from the Eclipse, and Rickard created these swords as grave markers in their honor. As you explore the expansive overworld of
No
Elden
dobra, to na
Ring,
pewno jest
you will come
nawiązanie.
across locations reminiscent of the Hill of Swords. These locations will feature a single, prominent greatsword with lore inscribed upon it, evoking a similar significance and storytelling element. The Berserk volume source is volume 17, and the chapter name is A Feeble Flame. In Elden Ring, the arsenal charm is described as an iron charm that resembles a mass of weaponry,
No.
boosts maximum equipment load. This talisman was derived from an unusual greatsword, once wielded by a hero hungry for vengeance. There are 2 points of interest in the description. First, it resembles a mass of weaponry, and second, it was derived from the greatsword of a hero hungry for vengeance. Both of these descriptions relate to Guts from Berserk, whose main plot revolves around his need to seek vengeance on Qliphoth for the death of his comrades. Guts carries a large arsenal of weapons as part of his vendetta against demons.
Czy Guts po prostu jest zwykłym badassem, który idzie i wszystkich rozpala, bo chce się zemścić na gościu, którego wkurzył? I tyle? To naprawdę fajna fabuła. Muszę to przeczytać.
The Berserk volume source is volume 1, and the chapter name is The Black Swordsman. In the manga, Wyald was an apostle who served as the leader of the Black Dog Knights, an army comprised of convicted murderers and criminals working for the Kingdom of Midland. In his apostle form, his arms fused into his torso, while his waist transformed into an ape-like body with a mouth in his chest and multiple eyes across his body, one on each shoulder and one at the fusion of his upper waist and lower neck. In Elden Ring, there is a boss known as the Fire Giant. This formidable creature possesses a massive face on its chest and is encountered in the mountaintops of the giants. Upon careful observation, one can discern a striking resemblance between Wyald's apostle form and the Fire Giant. The Berserk volume source is volume 11, and the chapter name is Forest of Tragedy. In our Dark Souls video, we mentioned that the jump attacks of Artorias were inspired by the jump attacks of Guts, while he wore the Berserker armor in the manga Berserk. In Elden Ring, a similar
Lion's
jump
Claw, no
attack
tak,
is
jest taki
returned,
atak.
named the Lion's Claw,
Grałem
represented
tym.
as an Ash of War. This jump attack closely resembles how Guts executed his jump attacks
O
against
kurde,
Grunbeld
dosłownie
during their
to.
intense battle in Flora's Spirit Tree Mansion in the Berserk manga. The Berserk volume source is volume 26, and the chapter name is The Berserker Armor. In the manga Berserk, Guts discovered the Dragon Slayer sword when he needed a more powerful weapon to confront the apostle that pursued them to Godot's house. Since then, the Dragon Slayer has become his iconic and signature weapon throughout the series. Hidetaka Miyazaki, the creator of the Souls series, has paid homage to the Dragon Slayer sword since the release of the first Souls game, Demon's Souls. This tradition continued in subsequent games, including Elden
chodzi
Ring,
o ten
where
miecz,
he
dobra,
included a
tak.
weapon called the Greatsword, faithfully replicating the iconic Dragon Slayer
zawsze był.
sword from Berserk. The Berserk volume source is volume 1, and the chapter name is The Black Swordsman. In the manga, after Casca and her team successfully
A
rescue
to
Qliphoth,
słyszałem,
you will
tak,
notice
że
the
był taki
helmet that he
ten
wears. This helmet
berserkowy.
serves as a
Każdy jak
representation
widział
of Qliphoth's
klasę
emasculation,
więźnia
torture, and degradation.
w Eldenie, to
Guts
mówił
is
o
unable to
berserk.
remove the helmet because Qliphoth's face has been mutilated, with his tongue removed and his skin cut open.
Co
In
jest?
Elden Ring, there is an armor available called the Prisoner Iron Mask. While some may speculate that it is a reference to a movie, upon careful observation, one can notice its striking resemblance to the mask worn by Qliphoth in Berserk. Among the masks shown here, you can easily see which one looks different. The Berserk volume source is volume 10, and the chapter name is Reunion in the Abyss. When the announcement trailer for Elden Ring was released, fans
No.
got their first glimpse of Malenia, and many noticed the design of her helmet.
No co ty
Many
gadasz?
speculated that its design is strikingly similar to the one worn by Farnese when she was first revealed at the beginning of the Conviction arc of Berserk. We agree with this inspiration, and our verdict is high
To
possibility.
jest za
The
mocne
Berserk
już.
volume source is volume 15,
To jest za
and the chapter
mocne.
name is Pursuers. In the manga, the Berserker armor is a gift given by Flora to Guts to help him fight demons and apostles. This armor grants the wearer
No
superhuman
wygląda jak
strength and
malikefowa
inhuman
zbroja,
ferocity,
to fakt.
while also healing injuries in the heat of battle and suppressing fear and pain. However, for Guts, the armor has a drawback, as it transforms him into a feral, bloodthirsty beast
Co
that
ty
can no longer
gadasz?
distinguish between friend and foe. This is not the first time Miyazaki has attempted to recreate the Berserker armor in the Souls games. In Dark Souls 3, we encounter the Outrider Knights, who don a remarkably similar armor and fight with bestial
No
tendencies.
tak.
In Elden Ring, Miyazaki has successfully
No
crafted
Ta.
replica of the Berserker armor with Malekith. Not only does Malekith wear a similar armor, but he truly embodies the essence of a beast and fights accordingly. The Berserk volume source is volume 26.
Swoją
and the
drogą ten
chapter name
pierdzielony
is
soundtrack jest
Berserker
tak
armor.
dobry.
Radahn is undoubtedly one of the most formidable boss enemies in Elden Ring, both in its lore and gameplay. Additionally, he has gained immense popularity and admiration among players for the seemingly fair way he fought against Malenia, as depicted in the cutscene. Among the fan theories, there are different speculations about Radahn's inspiration. Some believe he draws similarities from the character of Geyserik, while others point to Grunbeld or Zod. Our perspective is that Radahn is a fusion of all three. His armor takes cues
No
from
dobra, jest to
Geyserik's, while his
podobne.
helmet bears resemblance to Grunbeld's.
Nie
Furthermore,
no
weapons
przecież
are
ty.
modeled after Zod's cleaver. This
Niech
amalgamation
Miyazaki
of
po prostu nazwie grę Berserk kiedyś, bo to... ja
iconic traits from different characters only adds to the allure and uniqueness of Radahn as an
Co jest
impressive and
grane?
beloved figure in the game. The Berserk volume source is volume 10, and the chapter name is Thousand Year Fiefdom.
Robienie gry na licencji jest bez sensu,
During the
szczerze.
official gameplay
Fajnie właśnie
trailer of
robić coś
Elden
własnego z
Ring, numerous
nawiązaniami.
fans of the game
Uważam, że
noticed a
dobrze robi.
prominent and intriguing giant face shown in the screenshot. They wondered about its significance and meaning in the game's context. Upon the game's release, many players sought to find this specific location to explore the mysterious giant face. While we refrain from discussing the lore or speculating on its significance within the mythology of Elden Ring, it can be reliably and categorically stated that this face is indeed inspired by Berserk. If one were to refer to volume 34 of the Berserk manga, specifically after the Skeleton Knight slashes Qliphoth with the Sword of Actuation, they would encounter a face with a striking similarity to the giant face shown in the original Elden Ring trailer. The resemblance is apparent and serves as a clear homage to Berserk in the game. The Berserk volume source is volume 34, and the chapter name is Fisher. If we exclude Apostle Wyald and his knights, the trolls are considered one of the most disliked monster types in the entire Berserk manga, for
Beastmeni
reasons we
też tak
prefer
mają,
not to discuss in this video.
bo są
The
przeszłością.
notorious reputation of these creatures is well known among most Berserk fans. In Elden Ring, when you reach Farum Azula, you will encounter a group of enemies known as the Beastmen of Farum Azula. Upon close observation, you will notice that they bear a striking resemblance to the trolls from the Berserk
No to już
manga.
takie, chociaż
The Beastmen in Elden Ring are as bad as their counterparts in the
Nie,
manga.
myślisz sobie, że może
The
jednak
Berserk volume
naciągane, ale
source is volume
potem ci
24,
pokazuje i masz
and the
takie, no
chapter
nie
name
wiem.
is Trolls. In the
Ja
Berserk manga, after transcending apostlehood and assuming a demon god form, Ganishka crushes numerous
Co
Kushan
oglądamy?
soldiers
Nawiązania
beneath his feet.
w Eldenie do
The crushed
Berserka mangi.
corpses then transform into monstrous, multi-tentacled creatures, resembling the Emperor's visage, but with sharp fangs and distorted mouths. These spawns proceed to devour the remaining survivors of the Kushan invasion army before being confronted by the Band of the Falcon. In Elden Ring, a new type of creature called the Giant Land Octopus is introduced. These hostile creatures are formidable in terms of durability and exhibit unpredictable behavior. If
Ty, ale ta
carefully
manga jest
observed, they
skończona?
do bear
Tak jakby
some
całkowicie
similarity to
kompletna
Ganishka's
jest?
spawns.
Czy się
Our
urywa
verdict
z...
for this is similar. The Berserk volume source is volume 34, and the chapter name is Demonic Release.
Umarł
Godot holds
autor?
a significant
O
role in
kurwa,
the Berserk
GG.
series, primarily as the creator of Guts' iconic weapon, the Dragon Slayer sword, and
Autor zmarł,
secondarily
ale
as a
jest
provider of
kontynuowana.
sanctuary for Guts, Casca, and Rickert following the traumatic events of the eclipse. Interestingly, this is not the first instance where Godot's character has made an appearance in one of Miyazaki's games. In Dark Souls, players encounter Andre of Astora,
Powiedział,
a
jak ma się
muscular and
skończyć?
younger
Ej,
blacksmith who bears
zajeżdża.
resemblance
W
to
sumie.
Godot. In Elden Ring, players will notice the striking similarity between Godot and Master Hewg, both of whom are blacksmiths who have surpassed their prime. This resemblance further connects the world of Elden Ring to the character and
Przyjaciel
legacy of
kontynuuje.
Godot in the Berserk series.
Piste
The
szczerze.
Berserk volume source is volume 10, and the chapter name is Sparks from a Sword Tip. Farnese is a significant character in the Berserk manga, undergoing a compelling character development arc. Initially portrayed as a delusional and fanatical member of the church, she evolves into an open-minded student of magic and ultimately becomes a proficient mage herself. Many players of Elden Ring have observed the similarities between
No
the
może być
character
trochę
arcs of
podobieństwa
Roderika and
faktycznie.
Farnese. Both characters experience a loss of purpose and faith, only to embark on a journey of learning magic and spirit
Nawet
tuning.
to
It adds an extra
jej
layer of
questy,
connection that
znaczy ten
Roderika was
początek
originally
gadania,
named
potem idziesz
Farnese
do
in the
Kowala
game,
podpytać
and her
o nią
final
chyba i
name
w
is a
ogóle.
modification of Roderick, who happens to be Farnese's fiancé in the manga. This parallel further enhances the thematic resonance and homage to Farnese's character in Berserk within the context of Elden Ring. The Berserk volume source is volume 17, and the chapter name is Night of Miracles. Similar to Farnese, Shirka holds a significant role in the manga Berserk. She is a young witch in training, formerly a disciple of the witch Flora. As a member of Guts' traveling party, Shirka plays a crucial role in rescuing Guts when he falls under the influence of the trance
Kurde,
induced
jak to
by
jest
the
fajnie
Berserker
narysowane w
armor.
ogóle.
Miyazaki has attempted to recreate Shirka in the Souls games before. In Demon's Souls, she appeared as an older woman named Yuria the Witch. In Dark Souls 3, she returned as Carla, still wearing the iconic attire associated with Shirka. In Elden Ring, he has successfully crafted the most faithful version of Shirka in a Souls game, introducing the character of Ranni the Witch. The Berserk volume source is volume 22, and the chapter name is War Cry of the Wind. Guts, the main character of the manga Berserk, has always been referenced in various ways throughout the Souls games. In Dark Souls, the cover boss of the DLC, Artorias, draws influence from Guts wearing the Berserker armor. Similarly, in Dark Souls 3, Gale bears a resemblance to Guts with his matching greatsword and repeating crossbow. In Elden Ring, Guts makes a reappearance as Blaidd, a fascinating character who is part man and part wolf. Blaidd serves as a companion and guardian to Ranni the Witch, paralleling the relationship between Guts and Shirka in the Berserk manga. The Berserk volume source is volume 28, and the chapter name is Proclaimed Omens. Casca is one of the most important characters in the Berserk manga.
No.
She serves as the love interest and emotional anchor for Guts. Before her transformation during the eclipse, she held the position of the leader of the Band of the Hawk, while Qliphoth was imprisoned and Guts was undergoing training. Casca is not only a strong warrior, but also a resilient leader. In Elden Ring, among all the characters, Nepheli Loux bears the closest resemblance to Casca. Nepheli is a formidable warrior with strong principles and leadership skills.
Okay.
Additionally, both share the unfortunate experience of being betrayed by someone they trust and value. As an added bonus, players can acquire the Arsenal Charm from Nepheli, an item that clearly references Guts. The Berserk volume source is volume 4, and the chapter name is The Golden Age.
Niesamowite.
Among all characters in the Berserk manga, none is more enigmatic than
Michaela
Qliphoth.
też?
Second only to Guts, he is one of the most important and crucial drivers of the story. Therefore, it is extremely interesting for us to search for possible influences of Qliphoth in the Souls games. However, unlike Guts, Qliphoth is rarely referenced in the Souls games, until the arrival of the game Elden Ring. In Berserk, Qliphoth is portrayed as handsome, tall, with pale skin, charm, and white hair. Can you imagine any character in Elden Ring that meets such
No ale to
conditions?
tylko wizualnie,
After
nie?
hours of research, our conclusion is that no one fits Qliphoth as an Elden Ring character more than Gostok. He is tall, pale-skinned, and has white hair. Can you see their resemblance? Setting jokes aside, most of the fanbase believes that Michaela is the equivalent of Qliphoth in Elden Ring, for two reasons. Firstly, he matches Qliphoth's description as a fair-haired, androgynous leader with the power to draw followers and inspire
Jestem pod wrażeniem,
affection,
genialny
with
jest
the
ten
potential
film.
to become a true god. And secondly, they both slumbered in an egg-like cocoon,
Co
and
ty
the visuals of these
nie
cocoons
wiem,
relate to. Our verdict on this is high possibility. The Berserk volume source is volume 4, and the chapter name is The Golden Age. In total, we have identified 27 influences from Berserk on Elden Ring. 24 are considered to be beyond doubt, 1 high possibility, and 2 similar. If you would like to explore how Elden Ring compares to other Souls games in terms of these influences, you can find the links in the description below.
Jest niesamowite. Wysyłam wam linka. Ja sobie innym razem obejrzymy z innymi grami, bo to jest porąbane. Ja muszę to przeczytać. Muszę.